Have you ever stopped to wonder how a government actually pays for everything? You know, from giant infrastructure projects to public schools, especially when it feels like the money's running low? It's a massive question, and honestly, the answers are way more interesting than you think. So let's get into it.
Right. Just think about that for a second. Governments have these enormous bills for all the stuff we depend on every single day. But what happens when the money they bring in from taxes and other things just isn't enough to cover it all? And this isn't some rare, crazy situation. Nope. It's a constant juggling act that really shapes our entire economy.
So there's an official name for this shortfall. It's called a budget deficit. It's a pretty simple idea, right? The government is spending more cash than it's taking in. The real question is, how do they plug that hole? Where does that extra money actually come from?
Well, usually governments have a standard playbook they turn to. There are two main options on the table, the kind of tried and true methods you'd learn about in any basic economics class. Okay, so first up, the most obvious one, taxes. The government just collects money directly from people and companies. The second tool is issuing bonds. Now, this is basically the government asking for a loan. They sell an IOU to investors, promising to pay it back down the road with interest. So you've got taking on one hand and borrowing on the other. But what if raising taxes just isn't going to happen, politically speaking? And what if borrowing more money just isn't an option anymore? Is the government just stuck? Well, not quite. It turns out there is a third and much more drastic path they can take.
Yeah, when those usual methods just won't work, or maybe a government just decides not to use them, there's another way. It's kind of like a secret escape hatch in the world of government finance.
That's right, printing money. The government can literally just create new money out of thin air to pay its bills. No collecting, no borrowing, just printing. I mean, it sounds like a perfect solution, almost like magic, doesn't it? But as you're about to see, there's a serious catch.
Now, this incredibly powerful and, yeah, pretty risky move isn't just some theory. It has a formal name in economics. And knowing this term is absolutely key to understanding a huge debate about how much power a government should have. And that term is seigniorage. To put it simply, seigniorage is what happens when a government decides to pay for its spending by just creating new money. Instead of taxes or bonds, it pays its bills with currency it literally just printed. This quote really just gets straight to the point, doesn't it? Seigniorage is not an accident. It's a deliberate financial strategy. It's a conscious choice for a government to fund itself by, well, turning on the printing presses.
So, here we go. Here are the three paths laid out right next to each other. You can collect from the public through taxes, you can borrow from the public with bonds, or you can create entirely new currency from scratch. Three very, very different ways to solve the exact same problem.
And all of this leads to the big question, doesn't it? The million or maybe trillion-dollar question. If a government can just print money to pay its bills, why on earth don't they do it all the time? What's stopping them? Well, the answer has everything to do with the value of the money that's already sitting in your wallet.